All right. Well, I was welcoming everybody back to the last session and saying that universities, as part of their mission to serve society, must play a vital role in addressing the climate emergency and the United Nations SDGs, as Michael Murphy was saying this morning. Now, precisely what that role is depends on the mission and capacity of each university. In the next two sessions, we're going to look at this both specifically in terms of the action that has or is being taken by a university in the extended region, and from the perspective of how universities might rethink sustainability and how they integrate the SDGs. We start with the British University in Egypt. It's one of three universities that will be taking a leading role as part of the COP27 conference with the Ministry of Higher Education and Scientific Research Task Force in Egypt next year. Their president and vice-chancellor, Professor Mohamed Loutfi, has had wide experience in the United Kingdom and in Egypt, as well as experience of working with universities in numerous other countries. He's vice president of Arlene, the leadership development body referred to by Professor Amra this morning, and he has held other international leadership positions. He's leading the sustainability strategy in the British University in Egypt, and we look forward to hearing what he's done and how he's achieved that. Mohamed, welcome.
I hope you can hear me well.
We can hear you.
So is my screen shared? Or yes, and my screen is shared, so we're all set to go. Thank you, David, very much, and thank you for inviting me to speak at this forum. What I will share with colleagues is the journey that the British University in Egypt is embarking on in aligning itself with the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals. So it's a very interesting journey, and for you who do not know the British University in Egypt, it was set up by a government-to-government agreement. It was set up in 2005. It has 11 faculties, 12,000 students, research centers. So it's quite an interesting setup in Egypt. And I think it's fair to say that we are the largest British university outside of the UK with the name of the British University. So the content of today is that we will talk about the higher education institution as partners in implementation of the SDGs, the British University in Egypt strategy and strategic transformation, the Hayat Karima initiative, and as a philosophy and as an initiative, the relationship between the British University in Egypt and the UNDP, and some activities that the university is embarking on to support the implementation of the SDGs. This is, for system thinkers, this is a positive feedback loop between how the universities help the SDGs and how the SDGs help universities. Universities, through being the think tank of the future, pushing the boundaries of science, researching into the unknown, being the laboratories for change for the society, they can support the SDGs. And the SDGs, they create the purpose or the core of the universities. They create a demand for SDGs and how can we embed this in our education. Okay, then. So if we're talking about how to look at this, we're looking at it from three different levels. The graph is not that clear, but at a micro level, we're talking how do we implement this inside the British University in Egypt, like getting ready for the SDGs. At the meso level is how can we align ourselves with the society that we live in, especially the country that we live in. And Egypt now, there is this Hayya Karima initiative, which is seen by many as the localization of the SDGs. And in Egypt as well, there is the COP27, and everyone is gearing up to how can we support the government initiative in hosting the COP27. At the macro level is how can a university align itself with the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. So at the British University in Egypt, when I joined them, I was lucky that we had to put together the new strategic plan, which we're working on at this point in time. And we started by our identity as an institution. We are, what kind of university are we, or what is our role in the society and purpose? So our identity, it's mainly a student-centered university. And now we're defining our purpose, our priorities, and the pillars that would help us achieve these priorities. But the main thing about our purpose is that it's the last sentence which is in bold, that through innovative and fit for purpose teaching and research, so research informed teaching, students will be able to think critically, analyze problems of the society, look for solutions to problems of the society, and apply them and accept social responsibility. So the society forms a big thing in everything we do, and the societal needs now are aligned with the SDGs. So we formed a group of young academics to support this initiative of Hayya Karima. So Hayya Karima, the direct translation is a decent life. And which reminds me when David and I went together to Glasgow Caledonian University, and they had the main theme of the university is the University for the We Good, or the University for the Common Good, which is having a clear identity for the university. And at the British University, we're trying to look at how can our identity be related to the notion of or the philosophy of a decent life. So everything we're going to do in the university relates to this. Like, for example, if we're thinking of a health and well-being strategy, this is about creating a decent life. If we're supporting the communities that we live in, this is for a decent life. If the academics, they go and they do a good job in teaching the students, this is also supporting a decent life. So it's about creating the identity of the university. To deliver this, we went down the route of creating a working group, which is 20, as I mentioned, 20 young academics to create a domestic model of Hayya Karima, but as a philosophy, not as a project. So it's in everything we do in the university for the common good. So this group they're leading on all the activities. They have subgroups. Some subgroups relate to the implementation of the SDGs. Some subgroups are talking about the health and well-being strategy, which all would lead into the decent life. And as I mentioned, the decent life, some people would see it as the localization of the SDGs. The discussion or the activities that they do are mainly about promoting the culture, action-oriented research, and implementing the agenda. So we started really about in last February. This was something that we're very proud of, to be maybe the first university in the region to sign with the UNDP to fully commit to align itself with the implementation of the SDGs. The signing itself is SDG 17, but it's all about the activities that would come from this partnership between the British University in Egypt and the United Nations Development Goals. And the deliverables of this agreement are really technical support from the UNDP for the university, youth skilling, reskilling, and upskilling, research, policy research, and communicating with the stakeholders. So it's mainly receiving support from them, aligning the internal activities of the university with this. And the last two deliverables are in green, and they're in green because I will highlight them at a later stage. This is the contribution of the British, or the proposed contribution from the British University in Egypt to COP27. So promoting the culture, implementing the agenda, action-oriented research. Promoting the culture, it's in everything we do in the university. So this is the Green Day that happened last March, And students, freshers of the university, they had to do their first project, and their first project was all about how the project is aligned with one of the Sustainable Development Goals. And these are business and management students. And it was a brilliant day and a brilliant activities for the students. And you can see and you can feel that there is a sense of purpose in everything they do. We're also to promote the culture. We're members of a consortia of being an ambassador, which is an initiative by the Ministry of Planning and Economic Development. So be an ambassador for the SDGs. Also inside the university, one of our clubs, it's called the Youth Sustainable Development Club, and it's working very well to support the implementation of the SDGs. Even in the Faculty of Law, which some would find a bit difficult to be aligned, but we've got a legal clinic, and it's aligned with reducing inequalities, SDG 10. And this is about helping the communities around us. By our students, supported by their staff, they give legal advice to the community around us. Faculty of Pharmacy. They create products, and they use their outcome of their product. It's not only to support the community, but they use the outcome as well to donate to big organizations. And this one is really an initiative by the British University in Egypt, and it's compared to others, like we're leading the way on this in Egypt, because the Faculty of Dentistry, the Faculty of Pharmacy, and the Psychological Center at the Faculty of Arts, we go on medical convoys to rural areas. So it's about reducing inequalities, and it's about good health and well-being. And we just treat people in rural areas, poor areas, for free, or even in areas that are in the suburbs that they don't have enough support. Especially in our Faculty of Dentistry, we've got a mobile dental clinic which we use to support this. Promoting the culture, our business incubator in the university, funded by the Academic and Scientific Research and Technology and the university, created this pot of money by which if students can prepare proposals with green and smart technologies, and we had 10 winners for this pot of fund. It's the Business Incubator Fund to Green and Smart Technology Programs. Also under the initiative of promoting the culture, because we work very closely with the British Embassy in Cairo. So they had the COP26 trophy, and our team won the second place. It's about promoting the culture across the students, making them feel how important it is to be aligned with the activities or with the implementation of the SDGs. Going back to our relationship with the United Nations Development Program, we're now having workshops with them, discussions on, and this is following signing the agreement, and how can we work that our BUE Young Working Group academics and the UNDP team can work on planning for the university and for the community as well on the implementation of the SDGs. We also have our own workshops that have been happening for some time now about the climate change challenges and opportunities. Again, across the university, this is across faculties, inviting keynote speakers to speak to our staff, our students, to implement the agenda. And here we received Dr. Yusuf Nasif, the director of adaptation program in the United Nations. This activity, for example, is aligned with climate action with SDG 13. Even when we received the Deputy Chief High Commissioner for Human Rights, the discussion went towards the discussion around the Sustainable Development Goals. So we started to talk about the right to education, the right to clean water, the right to development. So even from a human rights perspective, it was directed to this. And this takes us to the main theme of the university. It's about having Haya Karima, or the decent life, at the core of what we do. Lately, we had, as a result of the crisis in Ukraine, we had Ambassador Ala El Hadidi, and he started talking to us about the acceleration of the need for action towards decreasing dependency and the need to focus on renewable energy, and again aligned with an SDG. Research is a big thing for Cardiff, for the British University in Egypt. And although we're a young university, we're 15 years old or 16 years old, research forms a big focus point for the university. And this is our 6th annual research forum. And again, most of the activities or many of the activities were aligned with the implementation of the SDGs. In our action-oriented research, so we're working with the University of Cologne on building a sustainable energy future. This is a project, a research project that we're working on together, and we hosted their summer school in Egypt. Also, we're working with the IDSC, which is the Information Decision Support Center Public Policy Forum, and we created a policy document in collaboration with them about how can we finance the Decent Life Initiative through alternative finance. The university, as I mentioned, even the research that has been going on for a bit of time, which is we built with our staff and students water desalination units, small units, and we actually donate them to rural areas, and this project is these desalination units, the technology inside them, like the membranes, is actually produced in the university at our nanotechnology center. So the research is informing the teaching, it's informing our work with the community, and it's informing a full product. Also, as an action-oriented research, the BUE works with several government platforms on wind turbines, either by servicing large wind turbines or by creating or building smaller wind turbines like the one in the picture below. So the top one, this is not produced in the university, but we supervise producing it with an external company. But the smaller one, this is produced in the university, and it's actually donated to a company which is called the Reef Al Masri. So it's about putting this wind turbine linked to a water desalination unit produced also by the university to have a sufficient cycle for clean water, clean energy in a small village. This year, we produced, in preparation, of course, for the COP27, our first climate action, SDG 13 climate action, and I'm happy to share it if anybody wants to receive a copy of it. It's quite an interesting document. For COP27, our proposed activities are: number one is to work on a COP27 simulator model, and number two is on a policy symposium, and both of them we're working on them with the United Nations, UNDP, the first one, which is the COP27 simulator, our partner, and this is the National Institute of Government and Sustainable Development. And it's about creating a simulator. It's something that has been done, something similar to it in COP26, which is the MOC 26. And this simulator, he brings students from across the country. And actually, with His Excellency, Professor Amr Salama, we were discussing a couple of days, how can we open this to universities from the Arab region in preparation for COP27. And then in this simulator, students will start debating the challenges that are facing the community. It will be like a small simulator for COP27. And in this one as well, students are trained on carbon literacy, on being carbon neutral. And I did really admire what happened with COP26, where students were trained, and then they were asked to train the leadership team in each university, in their respective universities, on being carbon literacy and being carbon neutral. The second project is about a policy symposium, and this policy symposium we're preparing with the partnership with the Academy of Scientific Research and the Information Decision Support System, a platform to publish policy briefs, policy blogs prepared by all the academics. So we are the facilitator. Of course, everything, the core partner in both projects is the UNDP and the British University in Egypt, But in this one, we have the Academy of Science, Research and Technology and the IDSC. Both papers were presented to the consortium and to the champion, the climate champion, Egypt's climate champion, which is Dr. Mahmoud Mohiddin. And I think they are receiving a lot of attention, and we're hoping to take them forward. So we at the British University in Egypt really strive to continue our ambitious strategy to becoming an effective partner in implementing the SDGs. Universities were known to be leading the development of the SDGs because they're the think tank of the society, think tank for the future. But in the implementation, still some work needs to be done. Thank you, and I'm happy to take any questions now or at the end.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much indeed for that, Mohamed. And while colleagues are just thinking of questions, a couple of points. First is the nature of Gulf conferences and their purpose to give practical pointers and ideas to the universities that are represented here. And I just want to remark that you have given us an amazing number of pointers through the examples which you have just quoted. But there's another point. And the point is that in discussion this morning, much was made of the importance of leadership. Now, I cannot believe that those things have just happened in the British University in Egypt, that it has come about because of the way in which you have led it. Now, this is a cheeky question in a way, but what can you share with colleagues about the aspects of leadership which have enabled such a lot of success to be achieved very, very quickly?
I think the main thing it's a very tough question, David, and I hope you're alone in the room with not a lot of people, but anyhow, the important thing is understanding your identity. You don't want to be delusional about one's identity, and I believe so. If somebody asks, who am I? How can I explain myself? So I would say my name is Mohamed Loutfi. I'm born in Alexandria, so my birthplace identifies me or gives my identity. Then I would say that I lived the majority of my life in the UK, so that also helps in shaping my or identifying who I am. And then I would say I worked in higher education for maybe 25 years in the UK, so this also identifies me. Universities are a living thing, and each university needs an identity. If you're able to explain it to your team and bring them with you about the identity of the institution, then they will have their buy-in and their support. So when we looked at the British University in Egypt, and I tried to look at how was it created. So it was created by its founder is Mr. Mohammed Farid Khamis, an industrialist, and he did the university as a philanthropic support to the community or giving back to the community. So he called the university in its birth, this is the best factory he has ever built, because it's the factory of humans. So it's born as a student-centered university. Then if you look at its research is applied research. If you look at the activities that is done in the university, it's student-centered. If you look at what it does, it's student-centered. So as long as you bring the community with you to define themselves, they're not delusional about who they are, and they believe in what they do, then they will move with you on the journey. So it's about bringing them on board, having a conversation about the identity of the university, and then from the identity, we focus on the purpose. From the purpose, and which we reached, that we are about serving the societies that we live in, then we start focusing on our priorities. What will our priorities be over the next 5 years? So our priorities are, number one, SDGs. That's a priority. Number two, living our Britishness. So you created the priorities. So everything we're going to do will be aligned with these priorities. Following from that, and now we're talking about our new strategy, is our pillars. How are we going to deliver our priorities? But again, it's everyone in the university rowing in the same direction, which always reminds me with a quote from a friend that I will not say his name now, a quote from a friend that he always, it's about when President Kennedy went to NASA and he saw this janitor in the corridor mopping the floor. And he asked him, "What are you doing?" So the janitor answered, "I'm helping to put a man on the moon." If you manage to bring everybody in this institution aligned to understand what is the purpose and how do they fit within the bigger picture, then you've got your team with you. And this is a simple thing, but it's just talking to people and bringing them on board. Back to you, David.
It might have been a tough question, but it was a great answer. And in it, you summarized many of the books on leadership. So thank you for taking that one on. Can I ask, are there any questions in the room? Nariman would like to put a question to you.
Hello, good afternoon. How are you, Dr. Mohamed?
Hi, Nariman.
I tend to see you always virtually nowadays.
Yes, but I can't see your face. I can only see
I think because I'm not turning the camera.
Okay.
So my question to you, Dr. Mohamed, it's nice to see that you've been able to implement. You do have tangible evidence that you're implementing SDGs. And I wanted to know, you've talked a lot about bringing people on board and creating, your identity and so forth. Are there any specific challenges that you would like to highlight that other institutions who would want to do the same thing would need to consider? Because it's not an easy journey to bring in people together and to get them to really share that identity and purpose.
It's again, it's a tough question, but anyhow, let me try. So institutions, Nariman, are different. So there are research-led institutions, there are student-centered institutions, and if you define the institution correctly, then you would see which activities of the SDGs will be aligned with this. So, for example, if you think of any university across the world, what defines the university? The society sees the university as think tanks for the future, as they rearrange science, they're the laboratories for experiments. They put people on a social mobility ladder, and they see the universities as well as producers of certification. The order of these four things define what institution it is. So some universities are interested, or they're long-standing institutions, and they're focusing on blue sky research. And some institutions are maybe newer institutions or different institutions that focus on being student-centered. Activities for the SDGs would be aligned with this. Even activities for internationalization should be aligned with this. So a university like Oxford would be, or Cambridge, or one of the research-led universities in the UK or across the world, would be focusing on activities with the SDGs that relate, for example, to researching into the unknown, pushing the boundaries of science. So they've got their identity that defines what they do. But a university like the British University in Egypt, student-centered, so you'll see that our activities are focused on the students. We're talking about even our contribution to COP27 relates to being a student-centered university. We are going to focus on creating this simulator, which is like a mock COP27, bringing the students together. So bringing people with you, you have to know who you are as an institution, get everybody to understand it, and then choose the activities that are aligned with who you are. That is, in a nutshell, my advice on that front to other institutions.
Thank you very much. Are there any or comments There's a lot of appreciation in the chat of your contribution, so I just convey that to you with
I
thanks.
can't see it.